Hey folks, name's Denny. I'm 38, and life's been, well, complicated lately. For most of my career, I've been traveling around the world as a technical specialist for high-tech equipment. Think satellites, robotics, stuff you see in sci-fi movies but in real life. My job's intense, high pressure, but it pays damn well, $16,000 a year to be exact. Sounds nice, right? But the catch is, I'm gone for months at a time on international gigs. Now let me tell you about Melissa. She's 40, a middle school science teacher, and when we met, I thought she was the coolest, most down-to-earth woman I'd ever known. Smart, funny, and independent. Everything I wanted. We've been together for 10 years, married for 6. Life was good. When I wasn't jet-setting to fix some billionaire's satellite or oversee a robotics installation, we had this sweet life together. I bought her a great house in a quiet neighborhood, a new car every couple of years, and we even took trips to Europe or the Caribbean on my downtime. No kids yet, though. It was a mutual decision. I just don't want to give out health details. However, in today's world, we have many options, such as adoption or surrogacy. I wanted to work for another year and a half to get some extra financial bonuses and then decide to expand my family. Anyway, things were great until a few months ago. So like I said, life was pretty sweet. I'd come back from work trips, and Melissa and I would make the most of my time at home. Date nights, weekend getaways, the works. She always seemed cool with the travel thing. Said she was proud of me, that my job was important. But looking back now, I missed the signs. It all started about 6 months ago. I'd just gotten back from a 3-month stint in Germany. I was dead tired, but Melissa was acting different. Not bad different, just off. She'd started going out more, spending a lot of time with some new friends from her yoga class. Single women mostly, or moms who'd just finalized their divorces. She'd post these pictures on Instagram of their girls' nights, fancy restaurants, wine bars, stuff we used to do together. I figured, hey, she's keeping herself busy while I'm away. Good for her. Then came the other stuff, expensive new outfits, trips to the salon every other week. She even hired a personal trainer. She said it was all about feeling her best self. But man, my gut was already throwing up red flags. Still, I brushed it off. What kind of husband would I be if I didn't support my wife trying to look and feel good, right? Then, one night during one of our usual video calls while I was in Tokyo, things got real. It was supposed to be a nice evening. I had just finished dinner, poured myself a glass of sake, and set up our call. These video chats were our thing. We'd both get dressed up a little, light candles, basically make it feel like a date night, even though I was halfway across the world. So, we're talking, laughing. I'm telling her about some hilarious mix-up I had at a Japanese train station. She's smiling, but then she gets this weird look on her face. You know, like she's rehearsing something in her head. Denny, she says, putting down her wine glass, I need to talk to you about something. Now let me tell you, those words, they're never followed by anything good. My stomach did that awful sinking thing, but I played it cool. Okay, I said, what's up? She takes this deep breath and goes, I've been thinking, maybe we should open up our marriage. I swear I thought she was joking. I even laughed. Big mistake. Open our marriage? I said. What, like a subscription plan? Do we get perks or something? That didn't go over well. She crossed her arms and gave me that serious teacher look. I'm not joking, Denny, she snapped. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time. I have needs, okay? You're gone so much and it's hard. Really hard. I was floored. Needs? What the hell? Melissa, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Where is this even coming from? We've been doing this for years. You've always said you were fine with it. Well, I'm not fine with it anymore, she shot back. Her voice cracked, and suddenly she's crying. I'm tired of being alone, Denny. I spent half my life waiting for you, and it's exhausting. I didn't know what to say. I mean, what do you even say to that? I sat there staring at the screen, trying to process what she'd just said. Open the marriage? Like, was she seriously telling me she wanted to sleep with other people? Melissa, I started, trying to keep my cool. Are you saying you're unhappy with me? Or is this just about— It's not about you, she interrupted, her voice shaking. I love you, Denny. I want to grow old with you. But I can't keep living like this. Half the time I don't even feel married. I'm just waiting, always waiting, for you to come back, for our life to start again. And I'm about to turn 41. I don't want to spend the rest of my good years being lonely. Her words hit me like a truck. This wasn't just about her being lonely. She was practically saying she regretted our whole life together. So, what exactly are you asking me to do here? I said, leaning back in my chair. Just let you see other guys while I'm working my ass off halfway across the world? She nodded, like it was the most normal thing in the world. It doesn't mean I don't love you, Denny. I just need something more while you're gone. When you're home, it'll be just us, like always. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Melissa, do you even hear yourself right now? You're asking me to share my wife with random dudes because you're bored when I'm gone. That's not love. That's insane. Her face hardened. I'm not bored. I'm lonely. There's a difference. And this isn't about random dudes. It's about me taking control of my happiness. I stood up and started pacing the tiny hotel room. Control of your happiness? Melissa, I've spent years building a life for us. Everything I do is for us. You live in a house you could never afford on a teacher's salary, drive a car I bought you, take trips most people can only dream of, and now you're telling me that's not enough? She glared at me through the screen. It's not about the money, Denny. You don't get it. You're right, I shot back. I don't get it. Because when I said I do, I meant it. Apparently you didn't. The silence that followed was brutal. She looked away, wiping her eyes. I'm doing this, Denny, she said quietly. With or without your blessing. I just thought you deserved to know. That was it. The moment I knew our marriage would never be the same, I didn't even try to argue anymore. What was the point? She'd already made up her mind. Fine, I said finally. You do what you gotta do, Melissa, but don't expect me to just sit here and take it. There will be consequences. She narrowed her eyes. What's that supposed to mean? It means, I said, my voice calm but cold, you're on your own. No more joint account, no more car upgrades, no more anything. If you want independence, you got it. Her jaw dropped. You're seriously going to punish me for being honest? No, I said. I'm protecting myself. Because the woman I thought I married? She's gone. And I don't know who this new person is, but I'm not sticking around to find out. I hung up before she could say another word. Before you find out what happens next, please subscribe to the channel. The second I hung up that call, it felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. I just sat there, staring at the screen, trying to wrap my head around everything Melissa had said. She wasn't asking for my opinion. She was telling me how it was going to be. I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't just keep things as they were. If she wanted to take control of her happiness, fine. But I wasn't about to bankroll her little experiment. The next morning, I called the bank and removed her access to our joint account. Then, I reached out to a lawyer to get the ball rolling on a divorce. It felt drastic, but what choice did I have? She'd made her decision, and now I was making mine. Over the next few weeks, Melissa's social media became a running commentary on her newfound freedom. Pictures of fancy dinners with friends, late-night clubbing, and spa days popped up almost daily. It didn't take a genius to figure out what was really going on. One post, though, hit me harder than the rest. It was a hot tub selfie, candles, rose petals, 2 wine glasses in the background. She didn't show the guy, but come on, it wasn't rocket science. Then her sister texted me asking, "Do you know what Melissa's been up to?" I told her straight up, "She opened our marriage without my consent because she's lonely. Guess she's living her best life now." Word got around fast. The same friends who used to hang on Melissa's every word were now ghosting her. Even her closest allies from yoga class stopped inviting her out. Turns out being the wife who cheated on her husband while he was working abroad isn't great for your social reputation. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding. I didn't go back to our house. I couldn't stand the idea of sleeping in the same bed she'd probably shared with someone else. My brother helped me find a sleek apartment across town, and I spent the first few days crashing at his place with his family. My sister-in-law was furious when she found out what happened. She and Melissa used to be close, but not anymore. "You deserve so much better, Denny," she said. "She's a fool." She wasn't wrong. I took some time off work to focus on myself, hit the gym, reconnected with old friends, even took my niece and nephew camping for a weekend. It felt good to be around people who actually cared about me. About 2 months later, Melissa showed up at my apartment. I don't know who told her where I was living, but there she was, standing in the hallway with a fake smile and a nervous laugh. "Denny," she started, "can we talk?" I leaned against the doorframe. "Talk about what, Melissa? How your little freedom experiment blew up in your face?" Her smile vanished. "It was a mistake, okay? I realize that now. None of those guys mean anything. I miss us." I laughed. Actually laughed. "You miss us? Melissa, you torched what we had and then danced on the ashes. You don't get to come back now like nothing happened." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I'll do anything to fix this. Please, Denny." I shook my head. "You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. Goodbye, Melissa." And with that, I closed the door. After that last encounter with Melissa, I knew there was no going back. My lawyer had already filed the divorce papers, and now it was just a matter of letting the process play out. She didn't take it well. She started calling and texting constantly, flipping between angry rants and tearful apologies. One minute she'd be screaming about how I was ruining everything, and the next, she'd be begging me to give her another chance. I ignored it all. My lawyer told me to save the messages for the record, so I did. Her social media, once filled with selfies and glamorous posts, turned into a string of sad quotes about regret and loss. It was almost laughable, except for how pathetic it was. The cracks in her new life started showing pretty quickly. Those friends she used to party with? They disappeared as soon as her money dried up. Her teacher's salary couldn't keep up with the lifestyle she'd built, and she ended up burning through her savings in less than a year. At one of our court hearings, she actually broke down crying in front of the judge. She admitted opening the marriage was a mistake and begged for things to go back to the way they were. It was a surreal moment hearing her say out loud what I already knew. She'd destroyed our marriage for nothing. But for me, there was no going back. With the divorce almost finalized, I started to feel like myself again. I sold the house. There was no way I was keeping that place with all its baggage, and used the money to invest in a new condo. Smaller, simpler, and 100% mine. Work was going great too. My boss offered me a promotion to a position that involved less travel, and I decided to take it. It felt like the right time to focus on building a life that was stable and fulfilling, without Melissa. I wasn't ready to start dating yet, but I wasn't bitter either. If anything, I felt relieved. Melissa's choices had been a wake-up call, and now I was free to live my life on my own terms. A few weeks after the divorce was finalized, Melissa sent me one last email. It was long, emotional, and full of apologies. She said she realized too late what she'd lost, that she would regret her decisions for the rest of her life. I didn't respond. Instead, I blocked her number, her email, and every social media account she tried to use to contact me. She'd made her choices, and now she had to live with them. As for me, I'm doing just fine. Better than fine, actually. I've got a great job, a solid support system, and a future that's finally mine to shape. And if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that respect and loyalty are everything in a relationship. Without them, nothing else matters. If you think my story is over, not really. I decided to do a little update because I've had some interesting things happen to me. After all the events of the divorce, I continued to live my life with renewed enthusiasm. I even had new hobbies. But the one thing that really stuck? Japanese. I'd always been fascinated by the culture, maybe because of all the time I spent working there, but I never had the chance to fully immerse myself. So, I signed up for classes, started watching Japanese dramas, and even took a trip back to Japan. This time, though, it wasn't for work. It was just for me. That's where I met Azumi. Azumi was one of the instructors at the language school I enrolled in during my trip. She was smart, kind, and had this quiet confidence that was magnetic. She wasn't just beautiful, she was the kind of person who made you feel at ease, no matter what. We started spending time together outside of class, exploring Tokyo, eating at tiny ramen shops, and laughing over my clumsy attempts to speak Japanese. She found my mistakes hilarious, but never condescending. By the time I headed back home, we'd exchanged numbers and started talking almost every day. Fast forward a few months, and Azumi was visiting me in the States. I'd invited her to stay for a couple of weeks, and it was incredible having her here. She loved exploring my city, and I loved showing her all my favorite spots. We cooked together, watched movies, and just enjoyed each other's company. Azumi's approach to relationships was so different from Melissa's. She was thoughtful, respectful, and never made me feel like I wasn't enough. She'd grown up in a culture where mutual respect and harmony were key, and it showed. One evening, we were relaxing at home after dinner when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I assumed it was a package or a neighbor, but when I opened the door, I froze. It was Melissa's sister. "Denny," she said, her voice shaky. "Can I talk to you?" I glanced back at Azumi, who was sitting on the couch, clearly confused but polite enough not to ask. Sure," I said, stepping aside. Melissa's sister Megan looked rough, like she hadn't slept in days. She sat down in the chair I offered, twisting her hands nervously. "I wouldn't be here if it wasn't serious," she started, her voice cracking. "It's about Melissa." I sighed and leaned against the counter. "What about her?" Megan looked at me, her eyes already wet with tears. "She's not doing well, Denny. She lost her job a few months ago, and now she's drinking. A lot. She won't talk to me or Mom. I don't know what to do anymore. She's spiraling." Hearing this didn't fill me with pity. It made me angry. "Megan, I get that you care about your sister, but I'm not the guy to fix her life. She made her choices. So did I." "I know," Megan said, wiping her face. "I'm not saying you owe her anything. She listens to you, or she used to. Maybe if you talk to her." I shook my head. "Megan, I'm sorry, but I can't. I've moved on. She needs to figure this out on her own." Azumi had been quietly watching from the couch, and for a moment I felt embarrassed that she had to hear all this. But when I looked at her, she gave me a small, reassuring smile. After Megan left, I sat down on the couch, feeling drained. "Sorry you had to hear all that," I said to Azumi. She tilted her head, looking thoughtful. "Don't apologize," she said gently. "It's your past, and it's part of who you are. I understand." Her calmness was almost unsettling. "You're not mad?" I asked. "Why would I be mad?" she replied, reaching over to take my hand. "You handled it with honesty. That's all anyone can ask." For a moment, I just stared at her, wondering how I'd gotten so lucky to meet someone like her. That night, after Azumi had gone to bed, I sat in the quiet living room, thinking about Megan's words. Part of me wanted to dismiss it all, to let Melissa deal with her own mess. But another part of me, the part that still remembered the good times, wondered if maybe I owed her one last conversation. I didn't know what I was going to do yet, but one thing was clear. Azumi was right. Whatever decision I made, it had to come from a place of honesty, with Melissa, with myself, and with this new chapter of my life. I'll be honest, I didn't want to do this. Seeing Melissa again wasn't on my bucket list, but Megan, she'd been a real ally during the divorce. She took my side when things got messy, and that kind of loyalty doesn't come around often. So, after a long night of pacing and second-guessing, I made up my mind. If Megan needed my help, I'd step up. Not for Melissa, but for her sister. Azumi noticed my restlessness. "You're thinking about it, aren't you?" she asked, setting down her tea. "Yeah," I admitted, running a hand through my hair. "I don't want to, but Megan's been good to me. I feel like I owe her." Azumi nodded, her expression calm and understanding, like always. "Then do what you think is right. Even if it's hard, if it's what you need to do, I'll support you." God, how did I get so lucky with her? I called Megan the next morning. "All right," I said. "I'll help. But let's be clear. I'm not here to forgive Melissa or fix her life. I'll talk to her, say what I need to say, and that's it. Deal?" "Deal," Megan said, relief evident in her voice. Later that day, we got in Megan's car and headed to Melissa's place. On the way, she gave me the rundown on what had been going on. "She really went wild after the divorce," Megan started. "Partying, dating guys half her age. She thought it was her freedom era. But things didn't go the way she planned." "No kidding," I muttered, staring out the window. "Those younger guys? They didn't stick around. They used her for fun and then ghosted her. She's been spiraling ever since, drinking, skipping work, pushing everyone away. It's bad, Denny." I sighed. "Just so we're clear, I'm doing this out of respect for you, Megan, not for her." She nodded. "I know, and I appreciate it more than you know." When we pulled up to Melissa's apartment, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness. The building was run down, a far cry from the beautiful home we'd once shared. Megan knocked on the door, and after a long pause, it creaked open. There she was, Melissa. But this wasn't the confident, polished woman I used to know. She looked like she'd aged a decade in the past year. Her hair was a mess, her clothes were wrinkled, and her eyes, they were empty, dull, like someone who'd given up. Her jaw dropped when she saw me standing there. "Denny?" she whispered, her voice hoarse. "Hi, Melissa," I said flatly. What are you doing here?" she asked, glancing nervously between me and Megan. "I came because Megan asked me to," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "Can we come in?" She hesitated but eventually stepped aside, letting us into the dimly lit apartment. The place was a disaster. Empty bottles on the coffee table, laundry piled in the corner, and a faint smell of stale beer lingering in the air. Melissa sank onto the couch, avoiding eye contact. Megan sat beside her, but I stayed standing, arms crossed. "Melissa," I started, "we need to talk." Her head snapped up, and for a moment, I saw a flash of the old fire in her eyes. "You're here to lecture me, aren't you? To tell me how I ruined everything?" "No," I said, my voice firm. "I'm not here to rub it in. I'm here because your sister's worried about you. That's it." She laughed bitterly. "Worried? I don't need anyone's pity." "This isn't pity," I said. "This is reality. Look around, Melissa. You've hit rock bottom, and the only way out is to stop pretending you're fine." She looked away, her hands trembling. "You don't know what it's like, Denny, to lose everything, to realize you screwed up so badly there's no fixing it." "You're right," I said, softening my tone just a little. "I don't know what that's like, but I do know this. You don't get out of this by feeling sorry for yourself. You get out by owning your mistakes and doing the work to fix your life." I took a deep breath. "Melissa, listen to me. I'm not here to drag you down or throw your mistakes in your face. I'm here because you're better than this." Her tear-filled eyes shot up to meet mine, full of doubt and anger. "Better than this? You don't even know me anymore, Denny." "Maybe I don't," I admitted. "But I do know the woman I married was strong, driven, and capable of building a life she could be proud of. And maybe that woman is still in there somewhere, but you've buried her under bad choices and self-pity." Her lip quivered, and for a second, I thought she might throw me out. Instead, she broke. Tears streamed down her face, and she buried her head in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably. Megan immediately wrapped her arms around her sister. "Mel, please, it's time to stop running from this. Let me help you." I waited for the crying to settle before continuing. "Melissa, I'm not saying this because I want to fix us. That ship has sailed, and we both know it. But you need to understand, your life doesn't end here. Divorce, mistakes, hitting rock bottom, it's all part of the journey. It doesn't define you unless you let it." She sniffled, wiping her face with the sleeve of her sweatshirt. "I don't know if I can..." You can, I said firmly. But only if you decide to. Nobody can do it for you. Not me, not Megan. It's your choice. I could feel the weight of the moment as I stood to leave. Melissa's red-rimmed eyes followed me, her expression somewhere between shame and hope. Thank you, Denny, she whispered. I nodded. Take care of yourself, Melissa. And listen to Megan. She's here for you. As Megan and I walked out of the apartment, she gave me a small, grateful smile. That was exactly what she needed to hear, she said. I hope so, I replied, feeling a mix of relief and exhaustion. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed with a call from Megan. Denny, I just wanted to say thank you, she said, her voice bright for the first time in what felt like forever. She's trying. She's going to therapy. She hasn't touched a drink in over a week, and she's talking about getting her life back on track. That's good to hear, I said, genuinely relieved. She told me your words really stuck with her, Megan added. She finally sees what she's been doing to herself. After hanging up, I sat in my living room, staring out the window at the city lights. I wasn't sure how to feel. On the one hand, I didn't regret helping Melissa. On the other, I knew my so-called forgiveness was a lie, a role I played for the sake of Megan, and maybe for myself. But as I thought about it more, I realized something important. Maybe forgiveness isn't always about absolving someone of their mistakes. Maybe it's about giving yourself permission to let go of the anger, to stop carrying that weight around. Life's messy, and people screw up. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Moving forward isn't about forgetting the past. It's about finding the strength to rise above it, to learn, to grow, and to keep going, no matter how many times you stumble along the way. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to the channel. I wish you a great mood and good luck.